You're listening to 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, WBEV AM, Beaver Dam, Dodge County, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the Damn Sports Show, presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun, featuring Mr. Smooth himself.
My who's hot is Wally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Smoking hot.
Corey Sparks, and a real athlete.
I am an athlete. I am going to show up and dominate.
Wally Lukaczynski, covering everything Titletown and pro college and high school sports around South Central Wisconsin. Here are these heroes, really heroes.
Just proving the hero that I am, just in the nick of time to be tortured for all of your enjoyments at home.
Okay, here are these heroes now. Broadcasting live on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, Daily Dodge TV, and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Well, that did not take long. Jaire Alexander will sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Jaire Alexander will play Green Bay on December 27th, Week 17 of this year's NFL season. His dad appeared on Kyle Brust and Norman about an hour ago. We've got some great audio from that. We will have Jason Wilde joining us in just a few moments to talk about that as well. Who's the bigger Wisconsin villain, Tyrese Haliburton or Pete Crow Armstrong? And we wrap up today's Wednesday edition of the Damn Sports Show with Friends of the Program here on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, Daily Dodge TV, and the brand new ESPN Wisconsin app. I'm Corey Sparks, back from Michigan, back from the UP, back in studio. And I am not with Wally Lukaczynski. We've got Hunter Vaughn taking time out of his busy afternoon to come in. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. You know, Jaire should play the Packers on December 27th.
That is a very good point.
If he's healthy, because that's always the big if with Jaire.
Yeah, I think availability is something that was probably brought up a lot in the contract negotiations, a huge reason he's not going to be donning the green and gold, but might be facing the green and gold coming up here in, that's about 5 months away, 6 months away, but we'll see if we can get there and we get that matchup. We want to bring Jason Wilde in. He's the three-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year joining us now. You can hear him live on Wilde and Tausch weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon across ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. I saw he was at the Hard Rock Casino in Rockford today. Jason, how are you doing?
I am 13 minutes from my house, so I've made the journey back. It's a long drive, to be sure, but we had a great time. They're a great partner, and lots of our fans showed up. And then, apparently on Wednesdays, it's Senior Wednesdays, so if you're 55 and over, which I'm getting perilously close to, everybody comes in for lunch. There's like half-price appetizers or something there, so there were a lot of people there, and most of them older, which is probably our demographic, but many of them had no idea who we were. So the final hour of the show was in front of a very large audience that I felt like was a little annoyed with us, which I can understand. I get annoyed with us too. But hey, I'm sorry. I missed Friday. Neither of you were here, right? It was Wally.
Correct.
Yep.
And it was because I was talking with Ed Policy. I couldn't tell you guys where I was, but I had to miss the show. And now gets to Wednesday, and I get my old pal Hunter Vaughn. So I avoid Walter 2 appearances in a row, and I get to talk to Hunter. That's a win.
There we go.
I'm super excited for this. Normally, I'm just producing for you, Jason. So I got to ask now, with the older crowd, I know you and Tausch like to talk about the show Dallas, which I've never seen before, but apparently it's very big with the boomers. Did Tausch start to get into his Dallas bag a little bit more because of the older crowd?
Yeah, so he did not. He could have, surely. I mean, he probably could have gone like I Love Lucy or Dick Van Dyke, Leave It to Beaver. It was definitely, there were some older folks. Then they went and played the nickel slots and the penny slots. So they had a great time, and so did we. But no, we had a lot going on today. Doing a show before a live studio or casino audience is definitely different than doing it from my basement or even from the halls of the Crest Center at University of Wisconsin Green Bay.
Oh, there you go. Well, okay, I want to ask, because you made the commute from Ashwaubenon down to Rockford. You're on your way back up. where in Wisconsin were you when the Jaire Alexander news broke that he would be one of the newest members of the Baltimore Ravens this year?
I was at the Hard Rock Casino, Rockford.
You were still there?
I think it happened a little after 12:15, and I was just packing up my bag. And then I was helping our friend Alex Strope put together some questions for Jaire's dad, who then I was so fixated on the Foo Fighters channel and the Dad Rock channel on Sirius XM during my drive that I completely forgot that he was on. So now I have to go back in the ESPN Wisconsin app and listen. Did he? I gave him some suggested questions. Did Jaire's dad spill much tea, as the kids say?
He did. Strofe also forgot that time zones exist, so Jaire's dad was on a little bit earlier than they originally thought that he was going to be on. One of the big things that something that you would think Strofe would think about, but he doesn't do much of that thinking. One of the things he did say was that if the Packers had offered something close to what the Ravens offered, which was 1 year, $4 million guaranteed, and then chance for an extra $2 million off of incentives, that Jaire would have been back with the Packers.
That was my suggested question, and I can't believe he answered it. That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Well, now I want to ask you with this, Jason, because I hear that number, and I saw some other people tweet this, that $4 million base would have put Jaire about the same amount of money as Isaiah McDuffie. It just feels like that is almost a no-brainer, even if you only get Jaire for half the games this year, to have him with the Packers if you're paying him the same amount as your third linebacker.
Yeah, and obviously the key word there is guaranteed, right? Mm-hmm. Because his base salary is supposed to be $16 million and change, and they weren't. It wasn't like they were going to negotiate it and guarantee half of that. The Packers had lost faith in his ability to stay healthy, and so what I'm guessing the discussion was, because Goody certainly implied that there was never a hard and fast offer even extended. Now I know Jaire's dad had said that there was, but I'm guessing what the Packers' offer was didn't contain any guaranteed money. Hey, we're going to cut your base salary in half, and this is all just conjecture from me. And then you can earn back the other half through incentives. If that's what they did, if I was him, I want to go out and get guaranteed money, and that's exactly what he got. But you're right. That's I'm really curious how fans are going to react now. And I did see a report that he took less than he was offered from some other team because he wants to play with his old college teammate from Louisville, Lamar Jackson. But I would love to know, what exactly, why is that such an expensive ask of the Packers, right? $4 million and guaranteeing it so at least he feels like he's got some security, that's nothing. As Tausch would say, that's popcorn money.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious now, because it seemed to me like by a wide margin, the fan base was like, yeah, I'm over him. Let's just move on. We'll see how it works out with the guys we got. But when you hear a number like that, and his dad says he would have stayed in Green Bay if that had been the offer, if I were a Packers fan, I'd be like, what the heck, man? Yeah. Seems like a pretty low price tag, and you lower his number from whatever is going to be $17 million to $6. So I'm really wondering. I'm curious how Packers fans will react.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer from our perspective, right? So Jaire's going to sign with the Baltimore Ravens, a contender. You mentioned he's got the Lamar connection from Louisville. The Ravens play the Packers on December 27th. Both teams likely going to be in the playoff picture at that point. At least they expect to, probably vying for a certain seed in the AFC and NFC. Jason, how high on the list of priorities, based on how everything is developed, do you think it was for Jaire to play against the Packers this year? Find a team that was going to go up against his former team.
That's another good question. Did that get asked of Jaire's dad too?
I didn't hear that one.
It was, and he was very like, oh, he's just excited to see the guys that he was in the locker room with. Like, there's no hard feelings with the guys, kind of a response.
Sure. All right, that's good to know, because then that question, which was proposed by me, wasn't as good. Look, I first of all, if you think back to 2023, Jaire made sure he was on the field for the marquee game, right? I mean, and in one case, the marquee game was going back to his hometown of Charlotte and then appointing himself captain and calling the coin toss when he wasn't supposed to be out there. But, like, he played in the game against the Raiders so he could play against Devontae Adams, if I recall correctly. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But I would think that if he's borderline, that he will make sure that he is playing in that Week 17 game. But again, you know, we have to at least allow for the possibility that his injury, which was legitimate, I mean, he underwent arthroscopic surgery on it. You know, and obviously the way the team kind of acted about that injury and his willingness or unwillingness to play through injury was a factor, I'm sure, in how he felt about the organization, not his teammates, but the organization. But, I mean, let's not rule out the possibility that this dude plays 15, 16, 17 games. He did it in 2022. He obviously was a malcontent in 23. He had nagging injuries, but the biggest pain he had was Joe Barry as his defensive coordinator. And then in 24, he was playing really well and really happy with his teammates and his coordinator and his position coach. And then the knee injury happened, and that's where things all kind of went to hell. So let's allow for the possibility that he's going to stay healthy. I still think Hunter's choice of words was right there to say that they're on the schedule. We'll see if he actually plays. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's only 28 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a very healthy season this year and a very motivated season as well.
Now, you don't think that there's just, again, I know you mentioned it at the beginning that this was a big part of it is the health stuff. Like, Jaire wasn't at all seeming to be an issue in the locker room or anything like that, and there wasn't anything else behind this. It just felt like it was an availability thing for the Packers.
Yeah, from what I know, I mean, obviously, now let me make one statement that's adjacent to the injury thing. And that would be, I do think that there were people, including perhaps coaches and maybe the GM, who felt like he could have played with that injury. And so if you want to put that under the umbrella of, you know, issue with the locker room or issue with whatever, you can do that. But beyond that, like, Xavier McKinney came in, and I remember talking to LaFleur about this, like, they sat next to each other at every meeting. Like, Xavier McKinney, even though he's younger, was a great influence on Jaire. Jeff Hafley was a total breath of fresh air for Jaire because he was miserable playing for Joe Barry. The new strength and conditioning staff had a better understanding of him, and he felt really good about what they were doing to keep him healthy and on the field. And he had kind of repaired his relationship with the medical staff and with the athletic training staff. And remember, before he hurts his knee in Jacksonville, he was having a really, really good season. He had the pick six in Tennessee. Like, he was back to being Jaire minus the ability to tackle, which I don't think has ever come back since he suffered the shoulder injury against the Steelers during the 21 season. But overall, he was playing really well until that knee injury. And then that's when everything kind of fell apart.
Jason, I've got one more for you. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Wednesday. We know Jaire is an animated spirit out there. He's going to celebrate a little extra when he makes a good play. Well, you also know, as we've stated a couple times in this segment already today, he had good rapport with the guys. He had good rapport with the Packers staff. It seemed like they were on pretty good terms until the last few weeks there, where some individuals maybe thought he would have been able to play through his most recent injury. let's paint the picture. What are you expecting to see when Jaire presumably faces off against his old team?
Well, remember too, and at the time, he had no evidence to make this proclamation. But during the off season, before the 23 season started, he did come up behind Jordan Love during the off season, put him in a headlock, and yell, "Best QB in the league! Best QB in the league!" And let's be honest, during the final 8 games of the regular season of 2023, and in that playoff game against Dallas, and for 3 quarters against San Francisco, sorry about the Dallas reference, Hunter.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm almost over it.
He was the best QB in the league. The best QB in the league. So Jaire was a big fan of him. We know that Jordan Love came on the Kay Adams show and stated on the record that he's a guy we need back when it was still in limbo. So for those reasons, if he's on the field in Week 17, I would expect a pick 6 against Jordan Love.
It would only be right. Jason, thank you so much for the time. Looking forward to talking to you on Friday here.
Yeah, I'll see if that fits into my schedule. We'll have to wait.
Sounds like a busy guy.
Be good.
Appreciate it. That is the 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year, the one and only Jason Wilde. You can hear him live on Wilde and Tausch weekdays from 9 a.m. until noon across ESPN Wisconsin and the brand new ESPN Wisconsin app. That's your state, your teams, your ESPN. We alluded to it before. When we return, Jaire Alexander's dad jumped onto Kyle Bruston Nortman weekdays from 2 until 5 p.m. across ESPN Milwaukee, and then 2 to 4 on ESPN Madison and ESPN Beaver Dam. Jaire Alexander's dad, Landis, went onto their show and was talking about the contract negotiation process before we learned that Jaire would no longer be a Packer. We've got some audio from that next on the other side of the break. You're listening to The Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and watching on Daily Dodge TV.
You remember the
sports talk is all about? Hear more shenanigans now on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and the Dam Sports Show, presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun.
Wally Lukashinsky usually determines what bumper music we have coming in. I'm trying to do him justice in his absence. You're listening to the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV, as well as the brand new ESPN Wisconsin app. We have Hunter Vaughn in studio. Usually we have him in over the phone for a segment plus on Thursdays, and that is his song. And I made sure at some point we put it in. So
I appreciate it.
That is your walk-up song.
I mean,
we can change it at any point if you want, but that is your walk-up song right now.
I'm fine with you guys picking the walk-up song for me. It's just, like, I'm not that special.
Oh, come on.
No,
you're amazing. You know
great,
your prep
thank
sports
you.
stuff. You
Thank
are a
you.
frequent. I think you were one of our first guests ever on the show.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the bar's kind of low if I'm your hero. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay, that was recently used. Did you say that was used for Jason Wilde before?
They used to be Jason's walk-up for when it was Rutledge and Hamilton, now Jim, Matt, and Molly.
Okay.
Alex Strofe used that.
Gotcha.
Because Alex Strofe is a brown-noser to Jason Wilde. So
See, we're the brown nosers to you. It's the pecking order.
But I'm not going to help you guys get very far. I'm just saying, like, Jason's got connections. I don't got connections. Unless you want to get in with, like, the Verona high school football coach.
There we go.
I
am trying to get a field goal at some point.
Well, okay, so then I guess, fine, we'll count
So
it.
brown nosing the right people. Quick reminder, if you
kick a
are
field
looking
goal.
for the one-stop shop for all things sports cards, you have to head on over to Real Sports Cards in Waupun, or you can check out their app, the Real Sports Cards app. Whether you're into sports cards or Pokemon cards or anything in between, the Real Sports Cards team has you covered with live breaks streaming right on the app. Grab those individual cards on the go. Be a part of a group and watch for your favorite players and teams as those packs get opened in real time. Go to the Apple or Google Play Store today. If you're watching on Daily Dodge TV, we're giving you the quick 15-second tutorial here. Look for the orange logo and take your collection to the next level with Real Sports Cards. That's your local resource for all things sports cards, Pokemon cards, and more. Corey Sparks, Hunter Vaughn here with you in the Daily Dodge TV studios. We have Jack Wilski upstairs spinning the ones and twos for us. We were just talking about Jaire Alexander and how he is now going to be a member of the Baltimore Ravens. He will play the Packers on December 27th, again, assuming he's healthy. He's had his fair share of injuries the last couple of seasons. And something we did not expect to see, but developed pretty quickly after the announcement that Jaire would join Baltimore, his dad, Landis Alexander, visited Kyle Bruston Nortman. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. on ESPN Wisconsin and 2 to 5 on ESPN Milwaukee. Here is what Landis Alexander had to say about what would have happened had the Packers made a comparable offer to what the Ravens made.
If the Green Bay Packers offered a contract comparable with what the Ravens contract was offered, would he still be a Packer today?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he said one word. And usually I would not use a quote where someone says one word, but I think that says a lot. You made the McDuffie comparison. In order to make a offer comparable to what the Ravens just made and Jaire accepted, you didn't have to move the needle a whole lot, especially considering this guy originally was going to be asking for $17 million plus.
Yeah, and it's such a weird move for the Packers to go so far to lowball Jaire.
Yeah.
That, like, $4 million base, that's nothing in the NFL these days. I understand that there's guys that league minimum, they're barely making $1 million, and we're talking about multiple millionaires here for this. But, like, $4 million.
Yeah.
You've got $45 million in cap space right now.
Right.
Every time, and this is why I think that the Packers, I don't think that they're going to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that this organization is capable of doing it right now.
They refuse to make moves like this. Right.
Like, I literally went back and I was going through some of the free agents of the last couple of Super Bowl champions here that went and did these one-year deals for a couple $1 million. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the big name being the Eagles getting Zach Vaughn.
Yep.
They get him on that one-year deal, and he's incredible. And I understand that doesn't always happen. They also brought in Devin White at linebacker as well. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Chiefs did it the last couple of years. They needed help on their defense the previous year. They got two defensive guys, one-year deals. They ended up signing them to longer-term deals because they were so good in that Super Bowl run. They did the same thing. They needed receiver help. They got Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS, and that helped them get into that Super Bowl, and then that's where they got those back-to-back, because they made those one-year deals. They made the moves that you need to make in order to get your team over the hump. And sometimes that means restructure a guy. So what if he plays in half the games?
Yeah.
We've seen what he can do when he's out on the field. He shut down my Dallas Cowboys.
He did.
He got a really great interception against them. I was super mad about it. But if I was a Packers fan, I'd want him out there. Packers are going up against some of the This is going to be one of the most difficult matchups against wide receivers that I've seen the Packers have to deal with in a long time this year.
The division's tough already.
Yes,
right.
Yes, you already have one of the best wide receiver divisions out there. Plus, they've got to play Cincinnati. They have to play the Cowboys. They've got scary Terry McLaurin in Washington. This is not going to be easy. And they're just like, yeah, $4 million to get a guy that might be able to help us win some of those games, when last year we finished in third in the division and we're just barely getting into the playoffs. Yeah, whatever, man. We don't need him. Like, it's ridiculous to me.
It's unbelievable. And I think it was interesting that Jason, on his way off the phone with us today, brought up, like, he felt like a decent amount of the Packers fan base was willing to go, I'm done with this. I just let Jaire go. I'm done. Let him go. At what point are we going to eat crow? Because if he's 5 or 6 games in, has a pick already, next thing you know, he's about to play the Packers in Week 17, and he's played in 11, 12 games, we could start to do the math, people. Would you have taken a healthy Jaire for 11 to 12 games, assuming he can get there, for $4 million? I would have.
I would have taken him for 7 games.
Yeah, half a season, not even.
Yep. Yeah, you get 7 games out of Jaire Alexander where he is healthy and good to go for the whole game. That is a great addition to this team. Now you're putting a ton of pressure on Carrington Valentine and Nate Hobbs.
And maybe Bo Melton.
Bo Melton, the wide receiver who they're trying to Travis Hunter him and be able to get him to play both ways. Plus, you're putting even more pressure on a bad D-line that has shown that they can't put pressure on a quarterback, because otherwise these QBs with these great receivers they're going to see are going to sit back all day long. I just don't understand the plan for the Packers. Like, I get the idea of, okay, if you're really that frustrated with his lack of availability, I understand wanting to restructure it. Jaire's dad literally said, like, I understand why they would want to do that. We understand the business. But at least come with something that is reasonable. Yeah. The Packers weren't even willing to do that. They literally just said, like, oh, yeah, well, here, this is what we'll give you. But, like, they knew what was happening. They knew what they were doing with this. It's so weird to me.
Well, and that's the other half of this. Jason asked us the question, since he wasn't able to catch the live interview on Kyle Bresson-Nortman on his way back up to Schwabenon. How much was Landis willing to disclose about the contract negotiation process? Quite a bit.
And we also understood that $17 million was. We know why they would question that, being as he's had a few injuries in the last few years. So I got that part, but to not have any guarantees in there was where we had the issue with. So it wasn't actually the dollar amount; it was no guaranteed money, because it was kind of like. If he plays every game that season, he probably could have stood to make $6 million. But he's not played every game in the season since he's been in the NFL.
Wild stat at the end there, by the way. I was looking back. I was like, didn't he play every game in 2022? No, he didn't. Nope. He played 16, and it had expanded to 17 games at that point. So if the Packers really were putting that on the table, saying, yeah, Jaire, you'll get some extra money. We can get closer to 4 or 4.5 or 5, maybe even 6. You just have to do something that you've never done in the NFL since you were drafted back in 2018. They're essentially saying, we are not going to take any risk on you outside of like a veteran's minimum. It's crazy.
And the thing, too, is it is so rare for NFL players nowadays to play in every single game. Like, you're playing a 17-week schedule or 17-game, 18-week schedule. Like, that's not something that is reasonable to expect of a player. Like, it almost felt like the Packers were trying to do their version of what the Cincinnati Bengals have been doing to Shamar Stewart, where they were like, oh, yeah, I know this is what we normally do for our rookie contracts. We're going to change a clause on it where if you get hurt at any point and you miss part of the season, we can pull all of your guaranteed money.
Which is wild, by the way, to do that to a rookie.
And it's so baffling to me that NFL teams are just constantly trying to find a way to nickel and dime these players. These guys are out there beating themselves up for it. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar organization. The Packers are a multi-billion-dollar organization on their own. And, oh, no, we got a nickel and dime. Yeah. We've got $40 million worth of cap space. Nah, it doesn't matter. We're not going to use any of it.
This is a 2-time All-Pro. This isn't like, we're not sure if this guy's even going to make the 53-man next year. Maybe we move on. He's pretty replaceable. I know he goes against the ground rules in Green Bay. Got to be young. Got to be available.
He's 28,
He is 28. He's not 30. And again, if we're talking about a one-year deal and this is the number he was okay with, I'm with you, Hunter. Like, what are we doing?
It'd be one thing if Jaire was asking for, if he was going from that $17 million that he was set to make, and he was like, no, I got to get $10 million.
Right.
Like, that's one thing. Okay, you need to walk away from that if you're the Packers. But if the number is coming in at even $5 million, just go ahead and do it. It's one season. Corey, like, help me understand why the Packers refuse to just say, you know what, let's get up close to that salary cap number right now for this 1 year, get a couple of one-year deals. I mean, I'm going through and I'm looking at some of the available free agents right now. Vaughn Miller's still available. He's a great edge rusher. You go and get him for 10 games out of the season. He upgrades that pass rush for the Packers. Matthew Judon's a good player. Preston Smith's not coming back.
Right.
But like James Bradbury is available at corner. Like, there are these guys that you could get for just a couple $1 million, add them to this roster, and they help improve your team. In worst case scenario, you've got veteran presence in a young locker room to help the team. But the Packers just refuse to do it. It's like they saw what was going on with Aaron Rodgers. They saw how old that team was getting and the way that the locker room was fitting with these old guys, and they got freaked out from it, and they're just now like in this trauma space of, we can't do anything close to that. We have to stay young. Young players are the opposite of what this was. It's like you have that crazy ex-girlfriend and you're like, nope, I gotta go in the complete opposite direction.
We're not getting anything close to that personality.
And it's so weird that the Packers are gonna swing this far. It's weird to me.
I think the other interesting part too is, like, you could microanalyze and look at how Jaire's last year went, and with the captain stuff, with the suspension, with the radiant personality, with the injuries towards the end. All of a sudden, he played 10 snaps against Chicago and he was done. And you could deduce, okay, maybe there were some hard feelings there. Maybe Jaire got lowballed at one point or didn't like the number that was thrown out there, and he was going to go out of his way to go somewhere else for cheaper. That stuff happens. Guys feel slighted. Per his dad, again, Jaire could go address Ravens media. Local beat reporter says, how much did the Packers offer you? We hear it was $7 million, and we're like, okay, that's not what Landis said. But per his dad, if that's true, all they had to do, as asked by Kyle Wallace, was make a comparable offer to that. Like, the fact that Jaire was willing to come down to the number that the Ravens offered him, again, it didn't take much, 4 guaranteed, up to 6 with incentives. That's the part I can't get over. There was no spite involved from his end. To Jason's point, there might have been some individuals in the building who felt like Jaire could have played in some of those games down the stretch leading up to a playoff run. It makes me wonder, completely just assuming here, it makes me wonder if there was spite on their end.
I think there was.
Right.
I think there was a level of, they thought he could have played through stuff, even though Jaire's dad, again, too, in that interview on KBN, he talked about that when Jaire got his knee scoped, there was more damage than just that PCL injury that it healed. There was more stuff going on in his knee that was hurting him and keeping him from being able to play at the level he needed to be able to play at. But I think the Packers were holding that against him because they didn't fully buy that, and they were just like, okay, like, this is what we're going to do to kind of get back at you a little bit.
We're going to offer you this contract under the assumption that you do something you've never done in your NFL career before. So no, Jaire, you're not going to see that money.
This just makes the Packers look bad.
Weird. It's like a gross feeling just looking at how all this unfolded.
Yeah, and part of me, I don't want Landis to get called a liar, but part of me hopes for Packer fans that this isn't completely true, and he's like misrepresenting some of this. Because if it is true, this makes the Packers look kind of gross.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, it just gives you that ick of like, you didn't break any rules here. You didn't do anything wrong, but the way you handled this just doesn't feel like a way that I would want my team handling a 2-time All-Pro player who has gone out there and tried to play through injuries. That Bear game, he played like 10 snaps in that game, and then he was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm listening to my body here.
Yeah, and like the fact that he was willing to do that, even for all of the other nonsense with the captaincy stuff, like whatever. Like, there's a certain level of, like, you need some guys who are a little crazy, a little weird, and a little out there. Like, you can handle I'm going to go out there and make myself a captain. Like, you can handle that. You can deal with that if you're an organization.
He's a confident guy. There aren't many people who can go out there and sword Justin Jefferson and follow it up for the other 3.5 quarters.
Was he sorting, or was it a seatbelt?
Okay, I always hear this, and I think it's actually a seatbelt, but I called it a sword at the very beginning. And so every time I bring it up to Wally, he does the same thing. He's like, no, he's strapping him up. I'm like, I don't know.
I think he's strapping him up.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's the baseball fan in me coming out. Yeah.
There we go.
But, it's odd. I'm trying to think best case scenario before we move on. We've got best Wisconsin sports villains, or rather we're going to pick between two pretty relevant ones right now. I don't know what the best case scenario is. Like, it comes out that the Packers offered him like 5 and they weren't willing to go up to 6, or guaranteed money if Landis is what he's saying is right. They weren't willing to guarantee him more than 3. But the closer those two numbers get, what the Packers offered and what Jaire ended up accepting, just begs the question, we're fighting over $2 million? We're fighting over $1 million?
Yeah.
We're fighting over $1.5 million?
I don't see a way that the Packers fully come out of this. And again, unless Landis is completely off base with what he's saying, and Jaire meets with the Baltimore media and is like, yeah, that's not true. That's not what happened at all here. I don't see the Packers coming out ahead on this.
Yeah.
I don't see them coming out in a way and not looking gross. And that's excluding the idea of Jaire plays one game for Baltimore and then he's hurt and he's done for the year. Then you're coming out ahead of like, yeah, see, like they got one game out of him, like whatever. But that isn't the same as the way that they handled the negotiation.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. I do want to give credit to Landis for jumping on there. His son's packing his bags and moving right now, and he's like, yeah, I'll jump on ESPN Wisconsin.
Why are sports dads doing that?
So that's a whole other, like, I feel like the last 5-10 years, I'm a Bears fan. Caleb Williams' dad has been very open about how his son felt about the team that was drafting him before they drafted him. Now a book's coming out. We know the Christian Watson stuff has happened with his dad before, and I don't
Tyrese Haliburton's
dad decided to jump on the court and trash talk an MVP. Yeah,
so weird.
Dad's happy Father's Day.
I have a theory about that. I know we've got to get to break here, but I have a theory on the parents thing. The more vocal a parent is, the further away from actually being like a pro athlete they were.
Ooh.
So if they were
compensating.
Yes. If they were like a fringe varsity football player, but then they're out in the stands and they're super loud and vocal about their kid, it's because they were that. Brad Norman's talked about it. He's like, no, I don't want to be a super loud parent. Like, I'm going to let my kids, if they're doing sports, I'm going to let them do their thing. You've had your time, right?
Like, you were able to control what you were able to control, but if you never got to that level, it's kind of like, this is my shot. Now my son's a prodigy.
Yep.
Interesting. There's something
I have no way of proving that at all. That's just the way that I feel about it. Yeah.
I like it. All right. I like it. We want to dive into some most despised villains in Wisconsin sports. Up next, 2 different players fluttering around right now. One's in the NBA Finals. One just played the Brewers yesterday. We'll go up against that next here on the other side of the break on the Damn Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
This is Brett Huff.
You're listening to 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
Years ago, the Badgers basketball team made a run in March that was magical. Wisconsin basketball made them believe. On Thursday, June 26th, you can join the Stars from that squad as they remember and celebrate the 2015 run to Indy in the Final Four and beyond. Get your tickets to be a part of this intimate night at the Orpheum Theater in Madison with Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, Josh Gasser, and yes, Bo Ryan. UWHoops2015.com. That is UWHoops2015.com. Get your tickets today. Untold stories, memories from that magical season, and special guests are sure to make this night one you will not want to miss. It's Made 'em Believe, a celebration of the 2015 Badgers basketball team, June 26th at the Orpheum Theater. Tickets on sale at, one more time, UWHoops2015.com.
So that 2015 Badger team.
Yep.
My wife, a UW alum, big Badger basketball fan because of that Final Four run the year before, and then she told me she was super all in on that championship run for the Badgers.
Was she there during that run?
No.
Just missed them?
She had just missed them.
Gotcha.
But like she was all in on it, watching all the games. Like she told me she almost cried when they lost to Duke. When she and I first started, we met online, first started messaging. She was telling me about that because she was like, oh yeah, you like sports, like you're a Badger fan. We were talking about that. I made the mistake then because it was during March, we started talking about our brackets, not thinking, because I'm a dumb sports guy and I always have to be right. She tells me, she's like, yeah, of course, I've got the Badgers going all the way. They're a 5 seed that season. Like she's like, I love the Badgers. They're going to go all the way. They're going to win the title this year. I was like, yeah, I think they're going to lose. The 12 seed Oregon, they're really good.
First
just
round?
won the Pac-12. By the way, the Badgers did lose in the first round to those Oregon Ducks. Oregon went on to the Sweet 16 that year, so I was right. She ghosted me after I sent that message.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
How long did that go on for?
So she ghosted me. I start talking to somebody else. She starts talking to somebody else. We both date other people for 3 months. Both of our relationships end around 4th of July. We then, after a couple of weeks, get back on the same dating site, rematch with each other, and then start messaging, and then the rest is history. And now
like, so I was
married.
right, by the way. They did get upset by that. The 5-12 never loses.
Yes,
Never
which
fails.
she then reminds me, if you're trying to impress a girl, it isn't about trying to be right. It's about, like, just keeping her talking,
bend a little
kind
bit.
of a thing. Yeah. So every time we've been doing reads or running ads about that I instantly flash back to the fact that I got ghosted and almost blew my shot with my future wife.
That's hilarious. You're in the right industry, though, sports radio. You're like, nah, I'm pretty sure this 5-12 upset's actually going to happen.
Yeah. So
I don't care if you're a diehard.
So lesson for the single guys out there: it's not about being right. It's about agreeing with the girl and just talking with her. You can tell her that she was actually wrong once you're actually together. So
how long did you guys know each other before you decided to say this upset's going to happen? I don't care about your birthday.
Oh, we had been messaging for maybe 2 weeks.
Okay, so very early on.
Yeah,
I
was an idiot.
Stamping my pick down.
Yeah. I didn't tell her she was wrong. I just said, yeah, I think the Badgers are going to lose. But she didn't want to hear that.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking of... That's actually hilarious. Speaking of that 2015 team, Grayson Allen ended up being the villain for Wisconsin sports fans there before being a Buck almost a decade later, which was kind of weird to think about when that first happened. Got me thinking, though, about Wisconsin sports villains. They've come, they've gone. And 2 right now, I think, that have been fast emerging. One of them the last couple of years, one of them, I'd say, the last few weeks here. 2 of them that came to mind for me are Tyrese Haliburton, Indiana Pacers, Pete Crow Armstrong, Chicago Cubs. And I'm going to have to kind of divert to you here since I'm a follower of these teams. I obviously don't despise them, but my fandom would kind of make me want to, right? Cubs fan from Chicago. It's very tough for me to objectively answer this. So I'm going to pitch it to you first on who you just genuinely, who makes you just more upset?
It's Tyrese Haliburton.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. So I follow baseball. I mean, I've got my Brewers mug right now with me. And like, Pete Crow Armstrong, I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, this is annoying, but the Cubs always have somebody like that.
Okay, fair enough.
This is just, it's their thing. They have a Brewers killer, and that's just is what it is. Tyrese just gets under my skin. Like, he has this weird manufactured aura. Like, he's playing the Knicks, and he's doing the choking thing and at MSG, so he's stealing Reggie Miller's thing. Like, all of his celebrations were somebody else's first. Then you add on top of that his dad getting in Giannis's face. I went to UW Oshkosh. I covered some of Tyrese's games in high school because I was there at that time. Like, his dad was not always great to like refs and things like that. So there's just always been this level of like, you're just kind of goofy. Like, this is just weird. And then he starts beating the Bucks in the playoffs. And I'm just like, man, I don't like you.
Yeah, that's
like,
the kicker, right? That's not a natural rival.
No.
A couple years ago, you're not really, as a Bucks fan, worried about the Indiana Pacers. They weren't that good.
Yeah.
Now they're good, and they have a homegrown Wisconsin man taking them down.
And it's not like he went from Oshkosh North High School and then went and committed to Minnesota or Michigan State for basketball. He went to Iowa State.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. Like, there's just a level of like this built because of the playoff stuff.
Yeah.
And you beat a team in the playoffs and you do that to your team now multiple times in the playoffs. I dislike him now more because of that. This was regular season stuff like PCA.
Yeah.
Like, okay, whatever. Now, if they play in the wild card and he hits a walk-off and he's just ridiculous, then I'm like, okay, man. Now I don't like you.
Okay.
Right now, it's just kind of a like a little brother, like whatever. It is what it is.
Let's change the stakes then. I was originally going to ask this. I was curious to see which way you'd go because I feel like Wisconsin professional sports teams, Illinois professional sports teams, there's a natural clash there.
Yeah.
But PCA has been in the league for all of, like, if you want to gather his games, a year and a half, maybe. Tyrese has been hated by Wisconsin fans for the last couple of years now. I'm going to remove PCA and insert Craig Counsell. Now who do we hate more?
Craig Counsell.
Yeah. That's just a traitor, right?
Yes.
In your eyes? Okay.
Yeah.
There's no postseason lore yet. But
No.
what since day one, probably Craig Counsell.
Yeah, especially when you say when you're going to leave that you want a new challenge, and then your team craps the bed your first year. Like, great, they're doing well now. And if this came up, Corey, I was going to tell you, being a Cubs fan, it's great right now with Craig Counsell.
Yeah.
You're in the honeymoon phase. Things are clicking. You're doing well. I know there's a little bit of a slump, but just wait until September. When those at-bats matter a little bit more.
Oh, boy.
Wait until the postseason, and all of a sudden he puts out your team's version of Jesse Winker in a wild card game, and he sees 3 pitches in 1 at-bat, and then the very next night he goes back out there and he sees 3 pitches again for a total of 6 pitches and 2 at-bats in the postseason, and you're sitting there on your couch thinking, you know what? I might be eating some Doritos right now, but I could go out there for 2 at-bats and see 6 pitches.
This is true.
Coming off of my couch. This is ridiculous. What is that guy doing out there in a playoff game? I'm not bitter about it at all right now, but I can't forgive Craig Counsell. I just can't do it.
So it's the combination of thinking you're the smartest guy in the room. I've heard that as a way to describe him before. And then I would like a new challenge. I'm going to go to a top 3 market team.
Yeah, like a new challenge. Great. You're getting challenged by having a major market team that is willing to and able to spend and spend and spend.
Challenge
and
was
that
a
didn't
choice.
work.
Yeah.
Spend it again. Like, yeah, man, Milwaukee's a challenge. It sucks. We don't have some tech bro owner who's got billions of dollars who can just throw at the franchise. Yes, Mark Antanazio's rich. Yes, Mark Antanazio could spend more money on the team. I have problems with that too. It sucks. It's annoying.
Yeah.
But to sit here and say that that's a challenge, like, that's like going out into Madden and saying, you know what? I want a new challenge. So you know what I'm going to do, guys?
I'm going to go to rookie mode.
I'm going to go to rookie mode, and I'm going to pick the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't take the Chiefs, though, so it's a challenge because they haven't won a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson.
That's a good point.
Like, that's not a challenge, bro.
I never thought about the use of terminology there. I was just kind of like, oh, we got the Brewers manager. Let's see what we can do here. He did get them to the playoffs with not a whole lot at his disposal.
Yeah, he overachieved.
Yeah.
Like, he's a good, I feel like he is a good regular season manager.
Sure.
he's not the manager to win a title.
Right, when the
I
lights
just
are bright.
don't see it. He mismanaged Josh Hader at times. He mismanaged the lineup with guys like Jesse Winker. And then Jesse Winker, by the way, goes off to like blame the city of Milwaukee, feeling like he felt pressure to play hurt and things like that. I'm like, my guy. People in Wisconsin are going to love you as long as you just remotely produce.
Yeah.
You just didn't produce.
Just hit above 200, please.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Like, it's just Craig Counsell is going to get things done when things are easy. But the second that things get difficult, you're going to see the lineup start to tighten up. They're going to swing at pitches they shouldn't be swinging at. They're going to look and feel just nervous and tense. And it's really, it's again, I keep using this word, but it's weird. It is just a weird sense from the team when you watch them play with him. And then I do get a little bit of joy if it happens this year because it's happening to the Cubs.
Yeah.
But I just can't stand the fact that he left for more money when you're a Milwaukee guy. You're a Wisconsin guy.
Whitefish Bay.
Just stay, man.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
you were going to get a statue built for you outside of AmFam Field. I don't know if the Brewers can do it now.
No, I don't think they can. It's going to be an interesting thing because if he does tighten up in the playoffs, he's got more talent at his disposal right now, but we'll have to see what happens in a couple of months. Quick edition of Friends of the Program. We're listening to different bites of audio around Good Karma Brands and ESPN Radio, ESPN Wisconsin this week on the Damn Sports Show. We'll be right back here on 1430 ESPN and Daily Dodge TV.
Here's a look at your weather
Show, presented by Real Sports Cards in Waupun. Stay tuned to 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam.
You got a friend in me.
This is Friends of the Program, and a reminder once again, if you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things sports cards, head on over to Real Sports Cards in Waupun or check out their app. If you're into sports cards or Pokemon cards, Real Sports Cards has you covered. Live break streaming right on the app. Grab those individual cards on the go. Be a part of a group and watch for your favorite players and teams as the packs get opened in real time. Go to the Apple or Google Play Store today. Look for that orange logo and take your collection to the next level with Real Sports Cards in Waupun and the Real Sports Cards app. Your local resource for all things sports cards, Pokemon cards, and more. Gonna pick one piece of audio here. We talked Jaire. Gonna push that one. We have a fun conversation about whether or not Wisconsin sports are cursed. Gonna push that one to Friday. But Alec Ingold, he was on the Jump Around with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. Alec Ingold believes the Badgers football team being considered an underdog this offseason is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of our 2016 year. You had Colin Cowherd going up on national radio saying that we weren't going to be ranked, not going to be any good, coming off a Holiday Bowl win. And, you know, the boys came together, we became a team, and you make a run to the Cotton Bowl, right? Like you're at the doorstep, Big Ten championship game, all of those things. So that's kind of what this offseason reminds me of.
Final thoughts on that?
I absolutely love it. I'm super excited for this team. I think Jeff Grimes is going to be a great addition for the program, being able to run the ball, get back closer to what Wisconsin football was. You're going to get those big farm boy O-linemen coming back to Wisconsin, and I'm excited for this team. I really think they've got a back-to-back stretch where they go at Michigan, home against Iowa. I think they're going to win both of those games.
Ooh, those would be big.
And then
get us like that 7-8 win range.
I think they're a 7-8 win team. I think Michigan's quarterback, they got that 4-star Underwood, who's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I saw a report that they have issues with him coming in overweight. Like, they may have some issues at quarterback. Again, if Michigan can't throw the ball, Badgers have a chance at the big house. I really like this Badger team this year. I believe in Fickell. I just think we have to be patient. He had a bad OC hire to start. I think he got sold a bill of goods on Longo and what their goals were. And I think things are going to be a lot better this next year.
I like it. I'll take some Badgers optimism in mid-June. Looking forward to that. Hunter, thank you so much for jumping on. We will run this back on Friday.
I'm super excited about it. Get to talk maybe some curses, probably some more Packers stuff. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. Plenty of news to cover when we return. Day off tomorrow, company holiday with Juneteenth, but we'll be back on Friday. This has been the Dam Sports Show on 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam and Daily Dodge TV.
Family is your legacy.